Today is September 10th, and let's begin analyzing the market through the insightful lens of wave analysis techniques. Our first instrument for analysis is the currency market's euro-dollar pair on a daily time frame. As always, I analyze a higher time frame and identify potential entry points on a lower time frame, aiming towards the higher one. On the daily time frame, a clear upward trend is forming here within the significant 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 wave pattern. After the fifth wave, we know that there is a correction of ABC in the opposite direction, and this completes the cycle. After the cycle is completed, we begin a new cycle again, starting with the second wave. Here I see the following upward movement within the framework of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. After that, we have a correction wave, A wave, B wave, C, 3 waves of correction, and then we have a sideways movement like this. Now, I clearly understand that currently we have a maximum of 1 occurrence, and at most 2 occurrences at a single level. Additionally, I observe a minimum of 1 occurrence, but we still need a second minimum to establish a complete sideways trend in this analysis. Also here I see another model like this, 1, 2, 3, 4, 4, this is all 4, then maybe 5. Yes, that is, there could be another model like this. That is, the market needs to determine here where the third wave will begin and where the second wave correction will end. That is, for me now, the formation of this sideways trend has a structure that I will buy above here for the continuation of the third wave, and everything below the sideways trend needs to be tried to be sold, and perhaps there will be such a deep correction. We have reached this specific level where we can conduct further tests again. Additionally, it is important to pay close attention to how our market has been treading water within this ascending channel for the last 2 weeks, yet there hasn't been any notable strong movement or significant volatility during this period. Accordingly, I assume that this situation appears more like a consolidation and correction phase to me, and in most cases this ultimately culminates in some form of potential decline. This is because it resembles a correction, meaning it acts more like a correction wave. Therefore, I am contemplating 2 possible scenarios for future events, one occurring above the established purchase level and the other occurring below the defined sale level. Each outcome will significantly influence market dynamics and trading strategies moving forward. Right now we have open sales on the euro-dollar and we are trying to sell on the 4-hour time frame. Here we have the first impulse wave formed, then ABC correction, the second wave. Guys, a sideways trend is also formed. Pay attention to the level below and the level above. Yesterday, we experienced a misleading breakout of the upper boundary of the level, suggesting that the price had indeed broken through. Yes, we expected growth, but we returned back to this sideways movement. This phenomenon is referred to as a false breakout structure in trading. Now, if the price can consolidate below this channel, then perhaps we will go down again, although at the lower boundary with the breakout of this lower boundary, we can fall even lower and return to the daily level again. That is precisely why the current market situation here continues to remain quite difficult. Here we have practically this sideways movement in the market that has been ongoing since about August 10th and has persisted for almost a full month now without significant changes. We've been in a sideways trend for nearly a month. Many traders often wonder why we aren't generating substantial profits in the currency market at this time. Take the euro and dollar as a prime example. Currently, the market is moving sideways. In such conditions, there is typically little opportunity to earn money, and most traders are unlikely to see significant gains. However, if you are not an exceptionally skilled professional scalper, you can still engage in trading by selling from the upper limit and buying from the lower limit. By selling at the highs and taking short positions, you can aim to capture 30 to 50 points on short-term price movements. That's because I'm more of a medium-term trader. I take medium-term positions at 100, 200, 300 points. And unfortunately, in this sideways movement, there are no such movements, and accordingly, we need to wait for the market to move into a trend phase. That is why the euro, if we correctly assume that this is a false breakout, and there will be a breakout, in my opinion, there is already a breakout of the lower boundary of the channel, yes. Then such a downward movement can come from here, and we are trying to sell the euro while there is $80 of profit. Let's proceed to the next financial instrument, which is dollar-yen. For dollar-yen, we are analyzing a daily time frame. Let's assess the overall market picture. A series of 1 impulse followed by 2 corrections, then 3 impulses, and finally 4 corrections leads to the formation of such a triangle. Here, the situation is identical to that of the euro, and since August 10th, the market has been confined within this triangle pattern for nearly a month now. Again, guys, there is no money here. You will not earn money here. Here you need to lose as little money as possible and earn as much money as possible in a trending market. A downward breakout of the triangle indicates a selling opportunity, while an upward breakout signals a buying opportunity. Currently, my team and I from the previously closed channel are actively holding buy positions in the market. Let me show you on a 4-hour time frame. This means that on the 4-hour time frame, the first impulse wave is formed here, then there is an ABC correction, then another attempt at growth, ABC correction. It is possible that we will experience a significant and deep correction within the flat correction pattern, specifically the ABC-ABC formation. If we accurately assume that this correction will conclude at this point, then theoretically the dollar-yen exchange rate should begin to rise. This scenario would present a favorable opportunity for you to make a purchase, allowing you to set a short stop loss while potentially realizing substantial profits from the trade. Therefore, while the price remains in this sideways trend, I am inclined to believe that all this movement, which has been occurring for about a month now, is likely a correction rather than a significant shift in the overall trend. Most often, the market experiences such corrections, but of course it is quite rare for these corrections to persist for an entire month. Typically, the market tends to show corrections that last for just 1 or 2 weeks, offering brief periods of adjustment before resuming its previous trends. Here it is better not to trade and try to wait for the correction to complete in order to try to work out the next impulse, because impulse waves always bring more money, and this happens faster and faster. A trend market indicates an impulse, while corrections involve consolidations and sideways movements, which are not ideal for trading. That is precisely why I'm attempting to purchase the dollar-yen currency pair on a rebound from the lower boundary, moving upwards within the context of developing the third wave of the price movement. Here's $200 for now. There is also a second alternative scenario. If the dollar and yen go down and break through the level, then we will need to sell from here, because in this case the triangle will break through on the daily time frame downwards. And if we look at the daily time frame, then we get waves 1, 2, 3. This could be all 4. If there is a breakthrough downwards of the triangle, this will be the 5th wave of decline. Therefore, we are holding on to purchases for now. But if there is a breakout and the price goes down, then we will have to sell, and perhaps the 5th wave of decline will be next for us. We are postponing purchases for the time being. The next instrument we have today is the Canadian dollar. Let's take a look at how much the guys spent on purchasing this specific tool last week for just $1. So far, in principle, growth is ongoing. Here, take a closer look at the market structure. We have points labeled 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 indicating a downward trend. After the completion of wave 5, we transition into wave 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. This leads us to wave A, followed by wave B. In my opinion, a significant breakout from the triangle pattern is currently underway. If we can consolidate in a normal manner without experiencing any downward reversals, then we anticipate that the next wave, wave C, will emerge in the region of 61.8% or 50% according to Fibonacci retracement levels. So we will work towards purchasing. We are currently holding off on making purchases and continue to wait patiently for the triangle pattern to break upwards. Further along on the 4-hour time frame, we observed 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 waves. After the 5th wave, there is an ABC correction occurring in the opposite direction. A significant level has formed, and then a new initial first wave begins to take shape. That is, this is all the first wave, and then the second, then the third, fourth, fifth. We anticipate a trend beginning on H4, expecting the formation of the first and second waves while maintaining our purchases. The general structure is for us to keep purchases within the channel below the channel and sell above the channel and buy. This is the logic while the market is growing. That is, for the dollar, the Canadian more or less, look at the market, there is no sideways movement, for example, like the euro, dollar, dollar, yen. We were in a sideways movement. Then the dollar, the Canadian relatively is much easier to trade than those currency pairs. So sometimes you can trade several currency pairs so as not to get into such sideways movements, and sometimes currency pairs can move in a trend market, unlike the euro, dollar, and yen. All right, everyone, let's shift our focus to the next instrument on our agenda, which is gold. This means that everyone is now eagerly anticipating what happens with gold. And what does gold do? Look, what I want to emphasize about gold is that the general trend is clearly upward. We begin by analyzing the daily time frame, followed by the first, second, and then the third wave of movement. By the way, take a look. Our third wave has reached an impressive height of 1618 without requiring any special corrections. It just soared upward, and there wasn't even a minor correction. Now I would like to see a significant breakthrough of this trend line before deciding to pursue a correction in the market. Try to take the downward correction because it is too late to buy without correction. I would like to see some minor correction in the market and then consider making purchases, but so far there has been no such correction. On this past Sunday, I shared with you a trading idea suggesting that you might consider selling gold. However, it's crucial to wait for confirmation before making any decisions on this trade. Confirmation for us is a breakout of this trend line. Once the price decisively breaks this trend line, you can consider attempting to sell. I also provide more aggressive entry points with a shorter stop in my closed channel within my analytics, and we have already begun selling gold as of yesterday. Let's take a closer look at how our gold sales are performing at this moment, as all entry points have been established based on the 4-hour time frame. Look, let's take a moment to conduct a thorough analysis here. We can identify one clear impulse wave, followed by two notable corrections. Now take a closer look at the third wave. It is the longest one, which indicates it is an impulse wave. Just yesterday, many traders sold at this level, and I personally sold at 36.45. These sales were triggered by the expectation that we would break through this trend line. However, as of today, we have experienced a rebound instead of the anticipated breakout. It was at night the price rebounded, but in the structure, what could be this impulse, this correction is underway, and then there will be the next impulse, and it will then break through this support line, and then we can go to the fourth wave of correction. That's why I'm currently trying to sell my gold holdings. The upcoming fourth wave of market correction could potentially reach the significant level of 618. Now, if we are able to successfully overcome this particular support level, then we essentially have a trading opportunity that presents a favorable deal ratio of approximately 1-to-5 or 1-to-4, which we can strategically attempt to pursue and capitalize on. Of course, a more reliable entry point would be a conservative one on the breakout of this trend line and sell from here, but your stop will also not be as profitable. It will likely move to a 1-to-1 ratio, but this outcome will be confirmed by a breakout above this specific trend line. That's why I'm still holding sales on gold. I have a stop. I'm observing risks, trade gold very carefully because you see that it's growing, there's no correction, and it's not clear yet where this third wave will end. Yes, as if by signs of a breakout of the trend line, but so far there's no breakout either. This is already such a risky deal, so I'm still holding sales. We have $40 in profit so far. The next tool we have for you guys is Bitcoin, a cryptocurrency. Examining cryptocurrencies. By the way, I am actively watching crypto now because the currency market is so weak. Most are in sideways movements. Gold is overbought. We are also waiting for a correction. It is also very difficult to trade. At this moment, I'm closely monitoring Bitcoin and Ripple as it seems we might have the opportunity to earn more profit through cryptocurrencies now compared to when the currency market is stagnant and trading within a sideways range. So the daily time frame EURUSD Bitcoin. Bitcoin, I sincerely apologize. Here for Bitcoin, the initial first impulse is formed, followed by the second significant correction, then the third impulse represented as ABC, and finally the fourth correction. Channel breakdown followed. Excellent, there is confirmation. After that, the price consolidates, anticipating growth. I expect growth within the fifth wave so that the 5 is higher than the third wave. It is possible that right in this specific area, we may have a channel like this that could potentially form. That is why we are working within the fifth wave on the daily time frame for Bitcoin. The fifth wave on the daily time frame should be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 on the 4-hour time frame. Let's take a closer look at where we can locate the first second wave on the H4 chart, specifically focusing on the period right at the conclusion of the fourth wave. During this time, we will examine the first and second waves on a lower time frame to gather more insights. Bitcoin 4 hours on a 4-hour time frame. Now we had a 5-wave movement down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and this is already an ABC correction. To this impulse, this correction. Here too, if we consider the fact that here the completion of 4 waves is underway, then we have all this upward movement, but it still looks more like the first wave, the second one. So far, I do not see a clearly expressed correction. That is precisely why we are delaying our purchases until the first complete second wave has fully formed and stabilized. So in principle, it's a positive development that we have growing lows as they are steadily increasing, which indicates an upward trend, while at the same time our highs are also gradually falling. The primary observation here is that the maximum has decreased, suggesting a triangle pattern might be forming, potentially even within the second wave. That's why we're temporarily holding off on the Bitcoin purchase. We are placing a stop here because our primary focus is on the daily time frame. Essentially, my main objective is to capture the potential movement within the fifth wave of Bitcoin's price action. This strategic decision is why we are currently pausing our purchases at this moment. The next tool from the Ripple guys. Ripple is also looking good right now. Many people ask me, Elder, why don't you trade Ether? I don't trade Ether because it doesn't have the same trading setups as, say, Ripple. I will focus on trading fewer instruments overall, but these will be of significantly better quality and will closely align with the Elliott wave theory in terms of markings. And so here on the daily time frame, the first impulse is formed, the second correction, the third impulse is the fourth correction. The breakout of the triangle is confirmation that it is time to buy, and we begin to buy Ripple. We are buying for now with a profit of 700. What positive aspects can we identify regarding this particular deal? Indeed, this is exactly what we, the members of my close-knit community, have done. We entered the market here, purchased Ripple, and established a very tight stop loss. Look at how short the stop is, $903, the stop on a rebound from the level. We entered the stop behind the level, and we are working off this 5 at 7,000. That is, the deal is almost 1 to 8. In general, impulse waves give exactly this mathematical expectation when you trade impulse, but of course you will have to wait for the development of the situation, but in general the idea looks great. The first, second, third are the longest. The fourth does not go beyond 1, the fifth will be approximately the same length as the first, because the third will be the longest. That's why you shouldn't expect to find any 6x8 there either. By 4 p.m. the closing ripple effect will be just great. That's the reason we choose to keep our valuable purchases here. Tesla's upcoming tool release. I currently have an open deal for Tesla, allowing me to buy and still retain my previous purchases. The overall concept we have is that this is an impulse and a correction. Then the triangle formation is broken, and we are already anticipating the third wave of growth through these, as I understand it, consistently rising lows. Take a look at how many rising lows we have here. This indicates that the price is indeed increasing. The trend becomes stronger with each additional rising low, signaling a more robust trend overall. In principle, I believe that sooner or later we should inevitably reach our target goal. That's why we're holding Tesla for purchase during the third growth wave. Next, everyone, our upcoming focus is on oil based on current trends in the oil market. Who watched my live broadcasts? We sold oil. Here, we work within the framework of the first, the second. This is all the third wave of decline, but of course through 5 subwaves. Yes, that is the first, second subwave. Then the third, fourth 5. That is 5 subwaves. This will all globally be the third wave of decline. Therefore, we have oil for sale, but while some correction is taking place, we have another level formed. Well, that's somewhat around the expected level, I suppose. Let's take a closer look at the analysis on the 4-hour time frame chart. On the 4-hour time frame, one impulse, the second correction, is formed here. Channel breakdown follows next. Selling here is possible in principle. Perhaps this is the initial second amount, then it will progress to 3, 4, and 5, and through a significant correction, we will eventually go down. That's why we're holding significant sales on oil, and the stop is positioned behind the 2 reference points. We work 3, 4, 5. Everything stays the same for now. Unfortunately, the market fell last week but rose again this week, and there is consolidation again. Well, folks, it turns out that occasionally you might find yourself waiting for 2 or even 3 weeks to successfully close a position, or perhaps even to close it at a loss or merely at break-even. This item is also frequently found on the market. Dear colleagues, I would like to kindly remind you that our much-anticipated 9th stream of training is scheduled to commence this coming Sunday, and we currently have just 2 places remaining for registration. There will be 2 places, group training, there will be a community, there will be theory, there will be practice. On September 14th, we will already have a start. If you are interested in signing up and learning to practice wave theory, you can independently begin building waves with the guidance of a mentor who will review your work. Feel free to reach out to me via direct message or on Telegram, and I will provide you with the pricing and training plan details. We still have 2 places available. We will have groups of 10 people, and we will all go through the theory together and practice together. We will have regular weekly calls scheduled for once every week. Everyone will tell who traded this week, questions and answers, and a market review. That is, you will also automatically know all the market reviews for the next week, what and how to trade. There are 2 specific places. Write directly or send a telegram if anyone wishes to sign up.